Robinson LLP, a full-service national law firm dedicated to its representation of clients across industries. More information at mrllp.com.
Happy birthday, WNYC Radio. This is Glenn Washington from Snap Judgment congratulating WNYC as it celebrates 100 years on the air. Here's to another 100. Keep snapping.
On the next Fresh Air, when a 47-year-old man has a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl who is his art student, can you call the relationship consensual, even if she thinks she's madly in love with him? What if they marry and stay married until his death at the age of 93? We'll talk with Jill Cement about her new memoir, Consent. Join us. Weekdays at 2 on 93.9 FM, AM 820, or live stream it at WNYC.org.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC News Hour on WNYC. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. Hello, London.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm James Menendez. Today on NewsHour, leaders of NATO countries are in Washington for a summit marking 75 years of the Transatlantic Alliance. Ukraine's defense is the focus, but not, it seems, membership. Also, Australia calls out the Chinese government for running a hacking operation across the Asia-Pacific region. That's BBC NewsHour at 9 on WNYC.
79 and partly sunny in the big city right now, on our way to another hot and humid day with a heat advisory all the way till tomorrow night. Partly sunny and 92 in the city today, but the real feel closer to 100. We also have a slim chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon.
What are reasonable accommodations at work when you're having a baby?
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com.
I'm David Brancaccio. First, beyond global security, money is on the agenda at a NATO summit starting in Washington. NATO countries will decide how much military aid for Ukraine. Countries also have their own targets for spending on defense. Marketplace's Washington correspondent Nancy Marshall-Genzer is following this.
Well, David, NATO says this year 23 of its 32 member countries are expected to meet or exceed the target of spending at least 2% of their GDP on defense. Both President Biden and former President Trump have complained the U.S. has to shoulder too much of NATO's costs.
On money for Ukraine fighting Russia, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg apparently wanted a long-term funding plan for Ukraine. What happened to that?
Stoltenberg reportedly wanted a 5-year military aid fund for Ukraine, but last week he said he expects NATO members will just commit to keep funding Ukraine next year at current levels. NATO has been funneling more than $40 billion in military aid a year to Ukraine since the Russian invasion in 2022. And Reuters is reporting NATO members will agree this week to reevaluate their contributions at future meetings.
Now, Kyiv has been asking for more air defenses. Is that part of the plan?
Well, the White House announced last month that it's going to prioritize shipments of air defense interceptor missiles to Ukraine. And on Friday, a senior Biden administration official told reporters the U.S. has been training Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16 fighter jets for more than a year. And they expect there will be an announcement on that this week.
Thank you. The tally is in for consumer credit in May, according to the Fed. People added more than $11 billion to what they owe on credit cards, cars, trucks, student loans, and more. That's nearly double the debt added back in April.
With an economy that's gradually slowing down in the face of high interest rates, consumers taking on more debt is a bit of a surprise.
Credit card balances rising again. This is a pretty sharp increase.
That's Ted Rossman at Bankrate.
People are definitely spending. That's supporting the economy, but it's not good to the extent that many of these cardholders are paying an average interest rate of over 20%.
Loan delinquencies, 90 days or more past due, are now the highest in more than a decade. But lenders don't seem too worried. Mike Schenk at America's Credit Unions says most consumers can cover their mounting debts.
Incomes are rising fairly quickly. But I think from a personal financial wellness perspective, many consumers have experienced a decidedly hard landing, and I think many more will.
Schenck predicts unemployment will continue to increase this year, making it harder for cash-strapped consumers to keep up. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
Markets are pointing up. S&P futures up 0.2%. NASDAQ futures up 0.3% now. And here's a number, $1.38 billion, the amount of cryptocurrency stolen worldwide during the first half of this year, according to TRM Labs. That's more than twice the first half of 2023, but you do have to factor in crypto prices running higher now. The magazine Info Security says one hacker trick is getting people to send a crypto payment to a fake but fiendishly similar address.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by UKG. UKG is a partner that delivers HR, pay, time, and culture solutions designed to help build a great workplace for everyone. UKG, our purpose is people.
The final regulations for carrying out the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act went into effect the other day. They carry out a federal law requiring employers to provide what are called reasonable accommodations. We got Charlotte Burrows on the line for some practical advice. She is chair of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
What are the best ways to pursue this? I assume this could involve more breaks for people at work if they're pregnant. What about changing job duties if there's a special physical challenge?
Exactly. Any of those could be reasonable accommodations for pregnant workers under the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. It may be changing a uniform or dress code or providing safety equipment that fits. Oftentimes what we see is that the worker needs a slightly different schedule, such as shorter work hours or part-time work or a later start time. And the big one, of course, is leave time for appointments with healthcare professionals. So all of those are examples of things that the employer needs to accommodate unless it would be an undue hardship, which means, frankly, just it'd be really significant expense or difficulty for the employer.
Because I remember when the original law was enacted, there was a presumption that there'd be some dialogue between the employee and the employer to work this out.
That's exactly right. So, for example, the worker could say, I'm having trouble getting to work at my scheduled start time because of morning sickness, or I need more bathroom breaks because of my pregnancy, or I need time off from work to go see the doctor because of my pregnancy.
Are you seeing cases where workers are complaining that the company is complaining undue hardship and not doing what the employee expects the employer to do?
We have received a number of concerns about this. What we do when we get those is we do an investigation and try to get it resolved. So far, we've had about around 450 charge resolutions under the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. We've got a number that are still pending that we are looking into.
And an individual, a person who's pregnant, can actually trigger one of these reviews?
Absolutely. We had a limited ability before the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act to address some of these problems under the Americans with Disabilities Act when they were more significant. And we saw some really heartbreaking issues there. Fortunately, we were able to settle it, but an employee who was really forced to quit just to access the urgent care that she needed after she had asked and been denied. And unfortunately, that employee miscarried later the same day. And so it's been quite tragic when there wasn't a prompt enough response from the employer. And we obviously are happy to get some sort of settlement for the worker, but that's really no substitute for the employer doing the right thing on the front end.
Charlotte Burrows is chair of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Now, online, you can search EEOC Public Portal for a way in there. I'm David Brancaccio. This is the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.